On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast, a whole slew of great new software updates are coming your way soon. The Tesla mod experts at Unplugged Performance find out whether or not the new Model 3 Performance Sport seats can fit in the old Model 3. A randomly parked Tesla's Sentry mode helps catch a shooting suspect, and more. What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joining you from Los Angeles this week. It's episode 462 of Ride the Lightning. It is your weekly Tesla unofficial podcast. This one's publishing on June 9th, 2024. I am recording a little bit early this week. I am down here in LA for a big work event, my day job, big video game thing happening this past weekend, as you'll have heard this. And so the event is going to be keeping me busy into the evenings. So here on Thursday night, June 6th, I wanted to get the show recorded so that I could get it out to you on time. And believe me, I've got plenty to talk about. So as always, when I record a little bit early, if I miss anything of significance, I will just talk about it on next week's podcast. Although on that note, next week is my highlights, recap, and analysis of the Tesla shareholder meeting. We will find out the results of the shareholder vote on CEO Elon Musk's big pay package. We'll hear lots of updates on what the company's up to, and a whole lot more. Should be a good one. And speaking of good things, this week, I am missing a good thing, unfortunately, but I'm happy to be here in LA. This is a cool, fun work situation, but I am missing a Tesla Owners Club test drive event that's happening for the new Model 3 Performance. Whoops, they finally offer the test drives, and I'm out of town for it. But if the owners clubs are getting test drives of them this week/weekend, it probably means that everybody will get a chance to test drive the new Model 3 Performance soon enough. So hopefully here in the next few episodes or so, I'll be able to do that and discuss my apples to apples comparison between my old Model 3 Performance and the new one. On this note, though, I do want to say congratulations to any of you out there that have taken delivery of that new Model 3 Performance so far. I've seen plenty of posts online from people who've gotten one of the first ones, and I even saw my first one out on the road, out on the wild this past weekend, and it looked great. So congrats to all of you in the new Model 3 Performance Club. All right, speaking of new stuff, there's a new Tesla beverage available on the online Tesla shop. And well, I say this respectfully, it had better be tasty for what it costs. It is Tesla Mezcal, and it comes in a matte black version of the same lightning bolt-shaped bottle that Tesla Tequila came in. And that price, it is $450 for the bottle. Here's the description from Tesla's online shop. It says, smoky and floral with a smooth finish. Our limited release Tesla Mezcal celebrates Oaxaca's artisanal Tahona milled mezcal with an alembic distillation process by intuitively combining the distinct flavors of native espadín and this next one I'm totally going to mispronounce, Bikushi agaves. The result is a mezcal that is as delicate as it is spicy, with a deep citrus and green apple nose that gives way to soft herbal notes with a delicate smokiness that lingers on the tongue. Finishes with notes of tuberose, jasmine, and chamomile that soften into a balanced, velvety mouthfeel. It continues, that's not all of it. The hand-blown glass bottle features a rich black finish inspired by Oaxaca's centuries-old Barro Negro pottery-making tradition. The bottle was designed by Tesla's director of product design, Javier Verdura, in honor of his Mexican roots and early life growing up in Mexico City. The design is emblematic of Mexico's Oaxacan culture, featuring a unique hand-molded form that honors ingenuity, family values, and a love of food. Must be 21 years or older to purchase, only available for delivery in select states, etc. And indeed, $450 on this one. So, for reference, the Tesla tequila in the same shape bottle was $250. And I have to say, when I first clicked on this, when I saw it posted on X, and I was like, ooh, okay, a new Tesla alcohol? Let's check this out. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not, just like the tequila, I'm not particularly interested in drinking it, but it would look really cool on my shelf next to the Tesla tequila that I was lucky enough to get and has remained sealed. And then I saw the sticker price. I saw the price and went, nah, I think I'll just put that $450 towards my Cybertruck fund. But certainly to each their own. And if you do buy it, please call in with your 1-minute review after you've had a chance to taste it. And as of this recording, and I do have to caveat this by saying not only am I recording one night early this week, but this mezcal was just posted today as I record this, so it's only been up for a matter of hours. That will obviously not be the case by the time most of you hear this. So it is still available as of now. Not sure if it will be by the time you hear this, but in any case, a new Tesla alcoholic tasty beverage for you if that is of interest. Next up this week, as I continue through the appetizers of the podcast, a quick update on Model Y's new 19-inch dark Gemini wheels that I talked about just, 2 episodes ago? Tesla has now done what I thought they would do right off the bat, which is just to have those dark Gemini wheels replace the silver Gemini wheels. So the silvers are now gone, and the dark Geminis do not any longer cost an extra $500. I certainly approve of this move, and I am glad that now all of the Model Y wheel options will match its trim. They're all dark-colored wheels to match the wheel well trim, the door handle trim, the window trim, all black. So the wheels, no matter which of the 3 wheel variants you choose on your Model Y, they will all match the rest of the trim on the car. Next up this week, thank you to Unplugged Performance, my friends over there, for putting up a video verifying that it is, in fact, possible to install the new Model 3 Performance's sport seats into an old Model 3. The seats, if you're curious, in the Tesla parts catalog are $1,870 a piece, plus the labor, if you want to have a professional, somebody like Unplugged Performance, install them for you. But you're talking about upwards of $4,000 if you do want the seats. But they are really nice. Again, I've only briefly sat in them so far, but they were, as I said when I gave you my quick review of those a few episodes ago, they were very obviously a huge upgrade over the already totally fine Model 3 seats in the classic version of the car, the old car. But these are awesome. You will have to decide for yourself whether or not they are $3,800 or so dollars worth of better. But in the video that Unplugged Performance did, they tested the whole thing, right? As they do. So, as expected, the cooling functionality, the ventilation function in the seats, does not work because the old Model 3 doesn't support that. So there's nothing in the software that would tell the car that that's okay. All of the power seat adjustments work. So the seat goes up, it goes down, it goes back, it goes forward, it reclines, it comes up. So all the power adjustments work, and the heating element also works, just no cooling. Very annoyingly, though, here's where it starts to break down, sadly, if you're thinking about doing this, which, again, I was thinking about it when I was like, well, maybe you could put these seats in. The car will spit error codes at you and make error chimes at regular intervals. So here's what I say to this. If, and that's an if somebody could get the cooling function to somehow work in the old Model 3 on these seats, and if somebody could also get rid of those annoying error codes, I would be tempted. I'm not going to lie to you. I would be tempted, but I probably wouldn't do it, at least anytime soon, even as nice as these seats are, because just like I was saying a few minutes ago with the Mezcal, in this case, it's way more money than that. It's about almost 10 times more money. You're talking about roughly $4,000 that I could instead be putting into my Cybertruck fund. But at least we do know that it is technically possible. You just might get annoyed by the error codes and the chimes, but you can put these seats in your car if you want to, if you've got an old Model 3 like me. Hey, so a huge thing is coming up, which I mentioned towards the top of the podcast. The vote on Elon Musk's CEO pay package is coming up here next week after the Delaware judge had ruled that the pay package was invalid due to, I'm just going to summarize very, very generally here, improper procedure. But anyway, the reason that I bring this up is because longtime Tesla watcher and Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jonas, a guy who I believe has probably been on every Tesla earnings call ever since they first went public, released a new note to his investors at Morgan Stanley on this subject. And I want to tip my cap to fellow Tesla watcher Sawyer Merritt, who posted the key excerpt from Adam Jonas's note, which reads, quote, Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas has released a new Tesla note after running a survey about Tesla's upcoming shareholder vote. And Adam's note reads, 57% of our 109 survey respondents expect approval of Elon Musk's compensation package, outnumbering the portion of respondents who expect non-approval by greater than 2-1. So, regardless of how you feel and how you're voting if you're a shareholder, I believe, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, I do believe the vote will pass. And I think it is going to pass pretty easily. Because I'm not saying it, I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just, because this is a dicey topic, and I think there are valid arguments on both sides, but I just think this will pass. Because when you get down to it, like if you just detach your own opinion, your own emotions from it, no matter what you think of Elon Musk, a shareholder, aka an investor, wants a return on their money. And Elon has made many of those investors a whole lot of money. Have you ever heard the term Teslanaire? It hasn't been a thing that anybody's uttered for many years. This was when Tesla's stock first started going to the moon, where there were people that invested in the very beginning, at like right around the IPO, and they became millionaires. And that term kind of came about in the Tesla community, Teslanaires. So there are plenty of Teslanaires out there. People that probably, even though they clearly believed in Tesla and what they were doing, probably didn't expect to become millionaires off of their Tesla stock, but have done so. And obviously, since then, the stock has continued to go way, way, way past even that. Because I'm talking about when the stock went to like $100 or even $250. The stock has split many times since then. So it's gone so far past what I think most anybody who invested in the beginning would have reasonably expected, that there are a lot of people out there that Elon's leadership has made them a whole ton of money. And so that's why I think that the vote's going to pass pretty easily, and I will be very surprised if the no vote prevails. And if it does, well, then I'll talk about it on the podcast, and we'll we'll discuss what the possible ramifications of that could be. But now that said, even though I just got done saying I think it's going to pass fairly easily, Tesla has taken out actual advertising online and done a lot of direct email campaigns to their customers, encouraging them to vote, and specifically encouraging them to vote in favor of Elon's pay package. So that would reasonably tell me that Tesla is at least somewhat concerned that it might not pass. But again, I think it will. And in the end, I don't think it's going to be particularly close, although I don't think Tesla is going to tell us the percentage either way. I don't believe they either choose to or have to disclose that. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, we will have the answer in just 1 week. Next up, I hope all of you who are very kindly and generously supporting the podcast, backing my efforts here by supporting me on Patreon, my Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. I hope all of you enjoyed this week's lightning round, the mini episode that I do every single week on Patreon. This was the 99th one. So next week is number 100. And for number 99 this week, I made it about the Cybertruck, and specifically it was a Cybertruck 6-month check-in. Now, I obviously don't own the Cybertruck yet, but I follow everything super closely. I have lived with the truck for 3 days, so you've heard me give lots of opinions on it based on that. So based on my own experience, plus everything that I've been reading from the Cybertruck owners online, I put together a little mini episode about where the truck is in terms of what's going well with it, what needs improvement, and put that into a little mini episode. So if you're interested in hearing that, along with the other 98 Lightning Round mini episodes, you can join the Patreon, support what I'm doing here with Ride the Lightning, because the podcast is free. It'll always be free. Don't worry, it's never going to be paywalled. But if you do see it in the goodness of your heart to jump on the Patreon and support what I'm doing, you'll get and you do it at that $10 per month tier or higher, you'll get access to all 99 and counting of those Lightning Round mini episodes, as well as you'll get early access to each week's show as well, because that's the perk at the $5 tier. And as the higher you go, the perks all stack. So at that $10 a month tier, you get the early access and all those lightning rounds. So again, check it out, patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Annual pledges get a 10% discount. There's also a 7-day free trial. If you just like to sign up and try it out, you can do that as well. Okay, let's get to the meat of this week's episode. Not a Tesla app, who I've cited here before, has the details on software version 2024.20, which is bringing a lot of really cool stuff to the cars. To the point where I question, and this is my own speculation based off of just, again, what's in this. This is not a source. It's just my own speculation, but is there enough here where this could be the summer update, since we also recently had the big spring update as well? I don't know about that, but take a listen to all of this and see if you think if it's worthy of being given the seasonal update designation. So we have new updates to adaptive headlights. They're arriving for European cars with matrix headlights. Now, that new update allows the headlights to adapt to curves in the road ahead, enabling better illumination. Having the adaptive headlights work for curves is the second major update for the matrix headlights. And now, even better here, is we get them in North America. Matrix headlight support in the US and Canada has arrived as well. And if you're curious, Not a Tesla app has kindly included a quick guide for how to tell if you have the matrix headlights in your Tesla. So if you just look at the headlight in your car, on the outer edge of the headlight, there will be a large round projector dome. If there isn't a dome, like my car does not have that, then those are the standard non-matrix headlights. Another way to tell is to run a stock light show, like the light show that's built into the car, not a custom one that you or someone else has made. Run a stock light show while facing a wall. If the Tesla logo in letters, TESLA, pops up, then you've got the matrix headlights. So we're long overdue for these to have gotten approved in the US. Thank you, NHTSA, for that. And now, lots of you out there will suddenly get better functioning headlights overnight. Only in a Tesla does this happen. You love to see it. Also part of version 2024.20 coming up is Supercharger races on the Beach Buggy 2 video game that's built into our cars. Not a Tesla app notes, Tesla is still improving its arcade functionality with the addition of local leaderboards at Superchargers in Beach Buggy Racing 2. It appears that each individual Supercharger site will have its own leaderboard, which drivers can compete on while their cars charge. Tesla says there will also be special races to compete in this Beach Buggy Racing 2 update. Well, as a gamer here, I have to say, I think this is awesome because it's one of those things that Tesla and or the developer of the game, I want to make sure not to leave them out, it's a thing that they absolutely did not have to do, but they did. And it's a really nice little thing, right? Like, this isn't like a night and day, literal game-changing update to Beach Buggy Racing 2, but it's a really neat extra bit of content, extra bit of functionality here. So this is me noticing that and expressing my gratitude to Tesla and to the developer of Beach Buggy Racing 2. You know, maybe this will incentivize some of you out there to play Beach Buggy Racing 2, especially when you're out on road trips at Superchargers. You get on that Supercharger leaderboard, try to get to the top of that leaderboard. And I'll say that this particular news item within this larger software update story inspired this week's Patreon poll, which is simply, do you play Tesla arcade games in your car? 44% of you said yes, I play Tesla arcade video games in my car occasionally. 37% of you said no, I don't play Tesla arcade games. And then it drops quite off the table from there into the 6%, 4%, 5% on playing regularly, or I would play, but I'm not interested, or etc. So thank you to everybody that kindly took the time to vote. A lot of votes on this one. So I will be honest with all of you. I am a little bit pleasantly surprised that that many respondents said yes, that you do play the video games in your car. As somebody that makes their living covering the world of video games, this warms my heart that so many of you out there do take advantage of the free video games in your car. Okay, we move back now to this big software update, version 2024.20. We're not done yet. There's still two major sections, two major pieces to discuss. The first of those is regarding autopilot strikes and suspension. So, Not a Tesla app says, an updated autopilot strike system, similar to the one that is on Tesla's upcoming FSD 12.4 update, is on 2024.20 as well. At 5 strikes, users will be suspended from the use of autopilot like before, but now Tesla will remove a strike for each 7-day period the driver goes without receiving a strike. Awesome, love this as well. And quite frankly, this seems like a more fair way to do it, rather than punishing someone to the degree that they had to wait. Up until this, if you got enough strikes, you had to wait weeks or months for Tesla to go in and manually reset everyone's strikes every once in a while, which again, that's how it was for a long time. So this system seems much more fair, and since it's all automated, you won't have to wait, again, weeks or months if you pile up too many strikes. And then finally, the last set of at least end user improvements coming in 2024.20 will be related to hot weather, which is the opposite of 2024.2.6's cold weather update. So this set of changes intends to improve auto mode on the HVAC in hot weather, helping to cool down the cabin faster while also maintaining comfort at lower noise levels. And Tesla themselves, who also, by the way, posted news of this update on X, but I'm sourcing and crediting not a Tesla app here because they had it first. So Tesla themselves added this little bit of valuable information. They say, quote, "For Cybertruck, the air conditioning is also quieter." So they've just made the AC functionality quieter on Cybertruck. You'll love to see that. And all of this, these hot weather improvements, just in time for summer. I love this one. Having lived for 15 years in Arizona, I know how important it is in the summertime to have good, reliable air conditioning. So I love this particular piece of the update, especially for all of you out there in those hot weather states like my friends and family in Arizona. Well, all in all, there is some really tangibly good stuff in this update. So kudos once again to the Tesla software team, who continues to be unquestionably the best in the entire auto industry. There is not a better software team in the business, and I don't even think it's close. Speaking of software updates, an interesting behind-the-scenes change is coming up for our cars. Tesla is planning to use its cabin radar, yes, you heard that correctly, not cabin camera, cabin radar, instead of seat sensors for safety in a new update, which is going to be 2024.14.3. I saw this on Teslarati, who writes, Tesla has used an occupancy sensor in its seats to show which seats are occupied by passengers. It has used this in its driver's seat as well, especially to maintain that someone is in the seat during the operation of the full self-driving and autopilot software suites. However, Tesla is now planning to ditch the use of this altogether and utilize something else, cabin radar. And Tesla hacker Green the Only first noticed the change while decompiling data related to the software update. Some wondered whether Tesla would be employing the cabin-facing camera for the driver's seat detection, but it turns out it will be utilizing cabin radar instead. According to Green the Only, the cabin radar will now be used to ensure there is a human driver in the driver's seat before the vehicle is allowed to move. So yes, again, cabin radar here, not the cabin-facing camera. But anyway, it certainly makes sense, right? As there are people who have, you may have seen them, I definitely have. There are people that have filmed videos with a bowling ball or something in the driver's seat to fool autopilot while they hang out and film a video in the back seat with a weighted cheat device hanging off the steering wheel as well. Now, not that I have to tell any of you this, please don't do this. And thankfully, it seems like with this upcoming update, you won't be able to get away with it anymore. But maybe this will also fix the mild annoyance that I have experienced before of having a dog in the back seat and having the dog trigger the seatbelt not fastened warning on the screen. By the way, there is a workaround for that. If you just tap that red seatbelt not fastened icon when it pops up, tapping that will turn that icon white and show a car seat icon. It will put it into the car seat mode. So if that is something that bugs you, if your dog's in the car with you, that's how to get around it. So I suppose legacy S's and X's won't be able to use this, as I don't believe they have the cabin radar. In fact, now that I'm looking at my notes more closely here, it seems I'll be left out as well. Green says that Tesla introduced the cabin radar in 2021. So if your Tesla is older than that, you, I suppose, will be continuing to have the existing system in place with the seat sensors. I can't imagine, maybe in combination with the cabin-facing camera, but not everybody's got the cabin radar. 2021 and newer. Also, I should mention here on this topic, also in this 2024.14 is something that I think all of us will welcome with open arms. Auto wipers will now have increased sensitivity when drivers manually press the wiper button. Thank you again to Not a Tesla app for this. Pressing the wiper button while the wipers are set to auto temporarily increases the sensitivity of the wipers. Yes, thank you, Tesla. I will be curious what temporarily means, but this does at least appear to confirm that Tesla has heard our cries and is trying to make those auto wipers better. Now, for me, it will not rain again in my neck of the woods until probably October or November. So I will look to hear from some of you out there who maybe get summer thunderstorms about how this new functionality performs in the real world. Before I get to the rest of the news this week, I want to take a quick pause and mention my friends at Accelerate Auto and their XCare extended warranty option for your Tesla. They have so much flexibility here. If you plan on keeping your car past the warranty period, I do humbly encourage you to consider an Accelerate Auto XCare plan because you can customize it to your desire. You know, I've got the 3-year, 40,000 mile plan that's added on to my now expired factory warranty. I'm almost a year into that 3-year, 40,000 mile extended warranty policy from Accelerate Auto. You can do the warranty policy on the entire car. You can do it on just the battery and drivetrain, since that's the most expensive, most critical component of the car. You can do it on both, whatever works for you, and you can do just a couple years, 20,000 miles. You can do 10 years and 125,000 extra miles, or anything in between. And best of all, the kind folks at Accelerate Auto are offering a $100 discount off of any extended warranty policy that you purchase. Just use the discount code LIGHTNING for that $100 off. And the website to go to, which, by the way, if you ever need it, it's also in the episode description, but it's accelerateauto.com/xcare, which is spelled a little funky. It's XCELERATEAUTO.com/XCARE. And that discount code, one more time, for that $100 off is LIGHTNING. All right, continuing this week, because there is plenty more to talk about. In some unfortunate Tesla-related news this week, though it will at least not affect Tesla owners directly, aside from, I guess, perhaps keeping some Supercharger sites a bit less crowded for a little longer. Tesla Supercharger access for several brands that have adopted the North American Charging Standard, NACS, has been delayed. Saw this on Teslarati as well, and they wrote, "This spring, GM, Polestar, and Volvo were all set to gain access to Tesla's Supercharger network in North America. 15,000 total stalls were set to be opened to non-Tesla EVs, making charging more available for EV drivers across the US and Canada. According to PC Mag, General Motors and Polestar both confirmed in statements that their dates of access were pushed back from spring to summer. Polestar reps said their timeline, quote, had been adjusted to later this summer, end quote. Meanwhile, GM pushed back their anticipated purchase of its NACS adapter, which would allow owners of their EVs to plug into Tesla Superchargers. Well, like I said, it's bad news overall, as it's only more likely to delay or, possibly even change a would-be EV buyer's plan to go electric. But as I also alluded to there, it might selfishly be good, temporarily speaking, for Tesla owners who will have fewer cars competing for Supercharger stalls here in the early part of the summer if you're doing any summer road trips. I suppose this maybe was to be expected after the big supercharging team layoff / shakeup. I guess maybe the more accurate term, now that we know that some of the supercharging team have been rehired, would be to say they were heavily restructured. But the good news is that the delay, as you heard, isn't very long. It's one season. It's like a 3-month pushback. And in all seriousness, hopefully this doesn't change the mind of anybody away from buying an electric vehicle. But the reason I even bring it up is, there are people out there who find themselves in a situation where they need a car right away for whatever reason. And if this supercharger access isn't there, and they were already on the fence to begin with, it might tip them back to buying a gas car or a gas electric hybrid. So anyway, I still think in the grand scheme of things, this is just a very, very small speed bump, but a notable item this week nonetheless. Continuing, there are still 2 more stories. Gosh, busy week, even though I'm recording early. Tesla Sentry mode helped police find and arrest a suspect in a case where a shooter was charged with intent to murder, along with several other charges. This happened in Massachusetts. And one more tip of the cap goes to Teslarati. I did not see this reported anywhere else. And they said this past week, a shooting that occurred in the city of Revere, Massachusetts, sent a victim to the hospital after he was struck with a bullet in the stomach following a confrontation. The confrontation was recorded by a Tesla in the parking lot of a Stop and Shop grocery store. The repeater cameras on the Tesla were able to capture the entire event, including when a shooter exited a vehicle and pointed a firearm at the victim. The shooter then fled in a black SUV while the victim was assisted by nearby witnesses who ran into the store for help. Police employed the help of the Tesla and its Sentry mode feature, which captures events that occur nearby to help identify the suspect. Jeremy Carl Taylor Tripp, a 20-year-old, was identified, located, and arrested by police, thanks to the Sentry mode cameras capturing the shooting. I don't want to exaggerate this, but I think this is an incredible story. Sentry mode not only helps keep you protected in the event of an accident that you get in or a malicious act against your car, but it's helping keep the greater public safe as well. For real, that's not an exaggeration to say that. I wonder, I guess, it's kind of funny to think. I wonder how the suspect reacted when either the police or his lawyer told him that he got ID'd thanks to a Tesla that was randomly parked nearby. That must have stung when he found out about that. And I know that you're all probably tired of hearing me say this, but this feature, Sentry mode, was added as a free software update. I guess free, good stuff added for free via over-the-air software update is kind of the running theme of this week's podcast, as it has organically turned out. I'll remind you, this feature, Sentry mode, did not exist when I took delivery of my Model 3 in 2018. But the Tesla software team very brilliantly put it together, and they've even improved it a couple of times since they first rolled it out. And this feature, Sentry mode, as I've said before, it is my single favorite feature added to the car via software update that Tesla's ever done. And for me, it's not even close. This is, Tesla added a free security system, a free dash cam to our cars. And it's already saved many owners a lot with insurance claims of, that you've got the incident on video and you can show it to your insurance company, show it to the other person's insurance company, show it to the police when somebody keys your car. Like, Sentry mode I wonder what the financial impact of Sentry mode has been in Tesla owners' favor. Like, how much money has it saved them in, insurance rates and claims and all that kind of stuff? It's got to be a lot of money. And it's only going to keep going. It's just great to see. I love this feature so much. All right. There is one more story to talk to you about this week. And admittedly, it's not directly Tesla related, but it does involve Teslas. So therefore, it's at least indirectly Tesla related. And I think it counts. And the story is this. The Boring Company had a couple of very notable announcements recently. I saw this story on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, the Boring Company took to X to announce the Las Vegas Convention Center loop has hit 2 million riders. The company first celebrated serving 1 million passengers in March of 2023. It took 21 months to reach the first million passengers and 14 months for the second million. So right there, it is about 1 million people a year or 1 million people every 14 months, but the rate of usage is increasing for the Boring Tunnel loop. So, that seems like a lot. 2 million people and 1 million in 14 months, particularly given that for now, the loop only serves, as the name suggests, the Las Vegas Convention Center. It doesn't serve the Strip or, the airport or anything like that. Although on that note, the 1.7 mile tunnel connects the massive Las Vegas Convention Center South Central and West Halls with Resorts World Las Vegas. Eventually, Drive Tesla Canada notes, the Las Vegas Convention Loop will connect to the broader Las Vegas Loop. This brings us now to the second piece of news from the Boring Company this week. It was confirmed on X that the Boring Company's tunneling machine reached Virgin Hotels Las Vegas in the last week of May. This tunnel will be part of the 2-tunnel University Center Drive Loop and include 2 new stops, one at Paradise and one at Virgin Hotel. Paradise Station will be near the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the UNLV, and close to the Harry Reid International Airport, while the Virgin Station is near the Virgin Hotel complex and could be a key transportation hub for those attending the Las Vegas Grand Prix, as Grand Prix Plaza is within walking distance. The Boring Company has not confirmed when the new tunnel will open, but the Las Vegas Review-Journal, that's the local newspaper there, has reported that one of the tunnels will be operational by April of 2025. Well, I gotta find a reason to get to Vegas soon so that I can go check this out. Fortunately, I have family in Vegas, so I'm lucky that I always have I have a good reason built in anytime I want to go to Vegas when the opportunity presents itself. Maybe I will make my Cybertruck road trip to Arizona to visit my parents next year that I was planning on right after I got the truck. Maybe I'll turn it into a 2-day trip instead, rather than powering through in one long day, and I'll stop off in Vegas on the way down there, see my relatives, and check out that Boring loop. Also, I'll give you a food recommendation if you either live in Vegas or you're going to be visiting Vegas. My guy, Tony Gimignani, who owns Tony's Pizza Napolitana here in San Francisco. Well, Tony has a place in Vegas as well called Pizza Rock, and it's got a lot of the same amazing pizzas that his San Francisco restaurant has. So if you live in or plan to visit Las Vegas, I cannot recommend Tony's place more, Pizza Rock in this case, and I can almost guarantee you that you will leave happy. And believe me, I wish he were paying me to say that, but the pizza's just that good. It is, it is so good. Anyway, I have said it before, but huge kudos to Las Vegas city officials for taking a risk on an entirely new idea. Like tunnels as a means of transporting people around the sprawled out desert heat of their city. That's a new idea, and they embraced it. And now it is paying off, as this version 1 of the loop has proven so successful that they're expanding the loop. And it just makes me wonder if other cities, like say Phoenix, where it's also flat, it's also sprawled out, and it's also really hot, might follow suit. Maybe a Salt Lake City, where it's flat, sprawled out, but cold, might be willing to sign up for a boring loop as well. I just hope we do see more major cities raise their hand to volunteer for this and to implement this method of people moving. All right, that's everything I've got for you in, again, a very busy week of Tesla news. Stick with me, though. I will be right back with a couple of Ride the Lightning phone calls coming up right after this.
Hi, this is Franz von Holzhausen, and you're listening to Ride the Lightning with Ryan McCaffrey, the Tesla unofficial podcast.
Time to hear from you, wonderful folks, in the Ride the Lightning hotline. Yes, you can call in and potentially be featured here on the podcast. All you've got to do is drop me a line. There are 2 ways to call in. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question. Please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many people each week as possible. And then email that file to me at my podcast email address, which is simply teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and call in and leave a message anytime on the Ride the Lightning hotline. The toll-free number that you can call is 1-888-989-8752. Again, that's 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special, an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is a fellow Ryan. Ryan from Nevada. Go ahead.
Hello, Ryan. This is Ryan from Nevada calling one more time. I got another double question for you this week. So I was curious about the Matrix style headlights or the adaptive headlights. Do those only come in the performance version of the Model Y, or do they come in the long-range all-wheel drive or the rear-wheel drive? Just curious if that is something that you know anything about. And then I guess the other question I have is there any advantages to having your car produced in the Fremont factory or the Giga Texas factory? Didn't know if there was any advantage since both of those factories produce vehicles in the United States. So anyway, curious what you have thoughts on that. Again, love the show.
Howdy, Ryan. Thanks for calling in. I could not find a definitive answer to your first question about whether or not all Model Ys now have the Matrix headlights or if it's just the performance variants. So I'll just refer back to when I was talking about Matrix headlights a little earlier in the podcast and how to tell if yours does by looking at them and noting the extra round projector lamp or doing the light show and seeing if you get the word Tesla spelled out on the wall. As for any advantage in a Texas or Fremont car, honestly, I don't think there's anything you can definitively point to at this stage in time. I don't think the build quality is uniformly better or worse in one factory or another. But if you do want a Texas-made Model Y, for whatever reason, the only way to guarantee yourself one is to order it in Quicksilver. So that's the only factory that they're painting Quicksilver out of. Now, conversely, if you want to guarantee yourself a Fremont-built Model Y, the only way to do that is to order the long-range rear-wheel drive model, because they're not doing those in Texas. Ryan, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your call. Next up is Tyler from Ohio.
Hey Ryan, it's Tyler from Malvern, Ohio, and temporarily Scott Air Force Base. Thanks for the updates on Zelina, and hopefully the good news about her classes keeps coming in, and give Daisy some pets for me. So I had a thought about a new feature for our cars, and it would be to let us pick what state of charge we want to have when we arrive at our destination. So it gives us, about 10% or so right now, which works great when I'm at home and I can charge whenever I get there. But I'm road tripping back to my apartment after the eclipse and I'm not able to charge at the apartment. So it would be awesome if I could have it planned for arriving with 30 or 40% and then just dialing those numbers in and giving me that full estimated time right from the beginning of the trip within the car. I use a better route planner right now and can get something similar, but it's always nice when that stuff's built in. So if any Tesla folks are listening, that would be awesome. And I finally got to see a Cybertruck in person, and I got to go for a ride in one thanks to a gentleman on our base that just bought his and took me and a coworker around. Wow, it's so incredible in person. I can't wait till my number pops up, and just pictures don't do it justice. So keep up the great work, Ryan. Thanks so much.
Tyler, thank you very much for your call and, far more importantly, for your service. I'm so glad you got to ride in a Cybertruck. That is awesome. Now, the pictures that you sent of it next to your red Model Y were also great. As to your feature idea, I totally love it. I'll be honest with you. I totally love it. You spelled out a great use case for it that is far from unusual. Lots of folks would benefit from what you described. And as you said, if a better route planner has something similar, there's certainly nothing stopping Tesla from baking that in themselves. So here's hoping the right folks at Tesla hear this. I will convey your pets to Daisy as soon as I get home from Los Angeles as well. So take care, Tyler. Thank you again. And I've got time for one more call this week. It comes from Brian in Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. I want to talk about wheels. Keep cracking wheels. I'm just now leaving the garage. Local guy who will fix my wheels, and he will weld them back for me. This is a Performance Model Y. And regretting that decision, and the wheels, this is, I think, wheel number 8 that we have cracked on this one. And aftermarket wheels, I know there are also other Tesla wheels. The issue seems to be the inside of the wheel is weak. There's not a hub in there. Do any of the other Tesla wheels have a stronger hub on the inside, or are there any aftermarket wheels? They even suggested a steel wheel or something that would be stronger on the inside where we keep cracking these wheels. Thanks again, and back to you.
Hey, Brian, I am sorry to hear about all of your wheel troubles. I'll be honest with you, of course, as always, and I don't want you to feel bad here, but I've not heard of anybody having repeated wheel cracking issues. If it's on the same end of the car, meaning front or back, might it help to maybe check alignment? Or if it's the back wheels, the camber? That's the one thing that comes to mind. I mean, this just seems so very unusual. Now, to answer your question, I don't think any Tesla wheels are really any better or worse structurally speaking. The more reputable aftermarket wheels like Unplugged Performance or T Sportline, those are great, and they're usually lighter in weight than the factory Tesla wheels. That's kind of an advantage that's touted for those, particularly for performance enthusiasts. But I would take a look at the alignment and the camber situation before spending a ton of money on a new set of wheels. Good luck to you, Brian, and thank you very much for calling in. Thank you to everybody that kindly took the time to call in this past week. If you did not hear your call played, I will do my best to get to it in an upcoming episode. And if you would like to call in and possibly be featured on the podcast, please do. I welcome and invite your phone calls. I gave you the call-in instructions for the 2 easy methods at the top of this segment. Alrighty. Before I get out of here, there's a little bit more. There's your pro tip and more coming up next.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. You know, that Cybertruck looks a lot like a warthog, doesn't it? Master Chief, out.
While my filthy Model 3 waits for me back in San Francisco, here in LA, I have seen 2 Cybertrucks within the first couple of hours of being in LA. First one was right when I walked out the doors at the airport. One drove by. So it's nice to see the Cybertruck making its way around LA. I wonder how many of them I'll end up spotting during the whole, 5 days I'm here? Anyway, pro tip of the week time. Here is an anonymous pro tip, but it's a good one. Take a listen.
Hey, Ryan. I love the show, and I think I've got a pro tip here for you. I tend to use my Tesla a lot in the camping mode, and I always enjoy being able to look outside the windows when I've got everything tinted, because I've got nice shades that block out all the light, all the windows. They're wonderful. But sometimes you kind of want to look around outside without having to pull the shades around to see what's going on, particularly in the front cameras, because you can always click the little icon at the bottom and in your menu to see your left fender, right fender, and your back camera, just like when you're backing up. But you can't see out your front, or maybe you want to see what the inside of your cabin happens to look like or what it can see. So what you can actually do is with your car in park, you click on your Tesla icon at the bottom left-hand corner, and then you scroll down that menu until you get down to service. And then inside service, you click on camera preview. From there, you can actually see all of your cameras, the cabin, the main, the wide, the left door pillar, left fender, right door pillar, right fender, and your rear view. And it's kind of interesting. It actually has a bigger view than it does in the standard view when you're backing up on even the cameras you know about. But then you also have access to cameras that you don't get in your typical view. Now, this won't work when you're driving for obvious reasons. I don't think they want people using that to drive with, but it sure is handy to be able to look at it when you're parked and you've got all the window shades up. Maybe Angie and Margaret are finally having that fight out in the parking lot. You know, you're chilling in your car with your window shade up and you want to see what's going on, but without them knowing that you're seeing what's going on. And you can go in this little menu and look at your front camera. But anyways, that might be helpful for some people to know how to get access to the other cameras that their car definitely has running. Thanks for the show. Talk to you later. Bye.
Very cool pro tip here. I never thought about this one. Thank you so much for calling in. And if anybody else out there has a good pro tip of the week that you'd like to share with me and your fellow Tesla owners and enthusiasts, you know what to do at this point. You call in, just like you call in with a regular Ride the Lightning phone call. You drop the pro tip there as well. I gave you the 2 call-in methods for that a little earlier in the podcast. Before I scoot out of here, I want to mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that my hope being they can help you out at some point sooner or later. Starting with abstractocean.com, they've got a million great aftermarket accessories for all the Teslas, whether it's a rear footwell lighting kit, which I really like for you Model Y owners, the drop-in cup holder stabilizer for any of the Teslas, maybe the 4th generation tempered glass screen protector. I just had one of the Patreon backers. We were on our monthly Patreon call. Was actually really espousing the benefits of the and some regret for not having the screen protector on there from Abstract Ocean. He unfortunately suffered a cracked center screen, and the car got a little wonky on him before he got it replaced in terms of, it thought it was pushing a button because, when a touch screen cracks, that stuff can happen. So grab yours from abstractocean.com and don't forget the 15% off discount code for your first order. That code is RTL Podcast. So the coupon code again, RTL Podcast, all one word, no spaces, abstractocean.com. The Snap Plate and the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus, available for Model 3, Model Y, Model X, and Model S as well. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. There's a nice coupon code for that one as well. That coupon code is simply RTL. So if you want or need a front license plate bracket on your car that's a nice minimalist design, it snaps on and off in seconds, but when it's on there securely, but you can take it off pretty easily as well. If you want to detail your car, if you're going to be at a car show, whatever the case may be. So I definitely recommend the Snap Plate and also the newer Snap Plate Plus. So the regular Snap Plate, safety optimized with breakaway features to sacrifice itself in a worst case scenario like a parking accident or a car wash, an automated car wash. The Snap Plate Plus, meanwhile, strength optimized with hardened features for maximum strength. Both have the signature minimalist aesthetic that blend in perfectly with the front end of your Tesla. Both are made from recycled, made in the USA plastics with stainless steel reinforcements. Again, get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. Don't forget the coupon code RTL. BudgetSafeSolar.com. I definitely recommend keeping them on your short list if you're considering solar for your home or business. In fact, just a moment ago, when I took a little break there between segments, I was taking a look now that it's nighttime now as I'm recording, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm down here in LA right now. But how did the solar system do at work? Because it's June 6th as I record this, which means we're closing right in on the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. So I took a look, 41 kilowatt hours today, and since my car didn't move it's just in the garage while I'm down here in LA, that means we put a whole bunch of energy back into the grid that we generated renewably, and I'll get credit for that. And that's awesome. So if you are going to proceed with an installation, a solar installation for your home or business, and you end up choosing Budget Safe Solar, you're going to take a look at a number of providers, I'm sure, as you should. I did. But if you end up going with BudgetSafeSolar.com, please use the referral code RTL. Immaculate Reflections. They can be found at irdetailing.com. They're located in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. If there are any nice detailing services you'd like done to your car, whether it's paint correction, get that paint finish looking as good as it possibly can, paint protection film on some or all of the car, and or ceramic coating so that you don't have to wax it for the next 3 to 5 years and your paint is protected from those UV rays from the sun, I highly recommend that you take your car to Immaculate Reflections. I guarantee that you will leave happy when you pick up your completed car. Go to irdetailing.com to learn more and to get in touch. And when you do reach out and get in touch, be sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener, and there is a nice little Ride the Lightning listener discount waiting for you. Thank you so much to Jeff at Immaculate Reflections for continuing to very kindly and generously extend that gracious offer to listeners of this podcast. Finally, my Patreon, I mentioned it a little earlier in the podcast, but you can find it at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. And that is the way that you can voluntarily choose to give back to the podcast. Hopefully you listen every week, you enjoy the podcast, you get a lot out of it, you get some good information about what's going on in the world of Tesla. Maybe even you get a little entertainment out of it as well. That's my hope, but I'm here. I take a lot of pride in being here every week for you. Just because I'm down here in LA for work, the show must go on. The podcast continues. It's here for you, and it's on time, as always. So if you see it in your heart at some point, maybe this is the week that you want to give back to the podcast, you want to support me on Patreon, you can do that by going to my Patreon page, which is found at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. As I mentioned near the top of the podcast, the support tiers start at just $5 a month. And for that $5 a month, you will get, as a thank you, early access to each week's podcast, which in the case of this week means you'd get it an extra day early. You'd get it on late Thursday night / more likely when you first wake up on Friday morning. So a full 2 days early, which hopefully you find beneficial and a nice little thank you. If you go up to that most popular tier, that's the $10 per month tier that I call the ludicrous tier, not because it's crazy to give me $10 a month, but because all the support tiers are named after performance drive modes in the cars. The $5 per month tier is the sport tier for those, because I've got the original Performance Model 3 and the highest mode I have is sport. Of course, the newer cars, the new Performance Model 3s have insane mode now. But anyway, the Patreon is where to go, and I would humbly thank you if you do choose to make a pledge on there and support what I'm doing with Ride the Lightning. If you are listening to this on a podcast service, which statistically you probably are, and statistically on top of that, it's probably Apple Podcasts, be sure to follow Ride the Lightning on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast service you prefer. Because that way, and it's free, by the way, there's no cost associated with that. That way, you get the podcast pushed out to you every time there's a new episode, which is, as it is every week, every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. You don't have to remember to go get the new episode. It will be delivered to you automatically. You can email me anytime, teslapodcast@gmail.com. I'm also on X as well as Instagram. I have the same username on both, and that username is DMC_Ryan if you'd like to follow me and or reach out via social media. And before I go, I want to say a big hello and thank you to the upper tier Patreon backers. I'll start with the Roadster and Space tier this week. Thank you so much to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace. Jackson, by the way, sent me an awesome picture via X this week of all three of his Teslas. He has an original Roadster, which he put in the middle, and it looks so tiny compared to his other two Teslas, which is a Model X and a Cybertruck. So he's got these the two biggest Teslas sandwiching the tiniest Teslas. Great picture. Thank you very much, Jackson, for sending that. Thank you as well to Rolf and Jennifer Evers at the Roadster and Space tier, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Kara Weston, Robert from near Philly, Kristen Rumble, American Home Contractors, and GetAmber.com. Let me mention real quick here as well, the takeover, the Tesla takeover event coming up at the end of July in San Luis Obispo, California. If you're planning to attend, there is going to be a Ride the Lightning listener meetup. I just need to figure out the best time. It's most likely going to be Saturday, and my gut right now says like Saturday night, but I can't. I gotta figure it all out. But the reason I thought to mention that is the aforementioned Victoria Iacovetto was super nice to offer to have the meetup in her room at the Madonna Inn right there on site. So thank you so much to Victoria for offering that. So I'll be looking forward to seeing a bunch of you, meeting a bunch of you for the first time, and just hanging out, talking Tesla, just having a good time. So again, that's going to be Saturday, July 27th, if you're planning on attending the Tesla takeover. I'll talk more about this in the coming episodes, including I'll mention it at the top for those of you that might not listen this far in. But again, I just wanted to say thank you to Victoria for very kindly offering her hotel room for us to just hang out and just have a little get together at. The Maximum Plaid tier, we had an awesome time in our monthly Patreon Zoom hangout last weekend, as we always do. In fact, we went over again. We went a few minutes over. We always do. The hour flies by. It turned into an hour and 10. Thanks to everybody that attended that. And thanks to everybody that's kindly supporting the podcast at this Maximum Plaid tier. Those folks are Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Brett Libano, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Michael Williams, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Richard Corley, Chris Osborne, KB, Doug Carey, Adam Lavoie, ContactOneCallCenter.com, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Sean Tisdale, Dustin Hart, Michael Gallo, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Rav, Adam Christie, and Damon Klein. Finally, Another thank you goes out to the grandfathered in plaid level supporters. Thanks so much to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Dennis Peak, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And with that, we've come to the end of Ride the Lightning episode 462. I'm hoping I don't miss any big Friday news that might pop off in the Tesla space, the Tesla community, but that's just how it goes. Like I said, it's the day job. The day job's got to be tended to, as I'm sure all of you can understand, and it's going to be a busy weekend here in my day job, but fun weekend too, because I'm getting to see a lot of my coworkers face to face that I don't get to see too often, and I'm getting to play a bunch of new video games, and there's some press conferences where a bunch more are going to get unveiled, so it's kind of the Super Bowl week for the video game world, where it's the biggest week of the year in the video game world. So with that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your attention, because, this has been, an hour and 15, so 75 minutes or so. This podcast is what it usually is, give or take. And, that's not an insignificant amount of time out of your week. So if you've listened this far, thank you so much for taking the time. I do genuinely appreciate it because, your time's valuable. I know that. And with that, I will let you go and not take any more of it. Happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back next week for the big shareholder meeting recap and analysis episode. Let's see what we learn about, all kinds of stuff. Stay tuned, and I'll see you then.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.